I rise in strong support of S 3969, the PAVA Program Inclusion Act. The bill before us today is bipartisan, bicameral, and a piece of legislation that makes an important technical correction in the Help America Vote Act's Protection and Advocacy for Vote Access, or PAVA. The program explicitly includes the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands and the system serving the American Indian Consortium as eligible recipients of PAVA funding. When Congress passed the Help America Vote Act in 2002, it made significant changes to the country's voting process, addressing needed improvements to voting systems and voter access identified in the wake of the 2000 election. Since its enactment, Congress has provided billions of dollars under HAVA to help states improve voters' access to the ballot, including hundreds of millions of dollars in election security funds over fiscal year 18, 20, and 22, and $400 million under the CARES Act to help voters access the ballot during the COVID-19 pandemic. Among the numerous changes made, HAVA recognized the unique obstacles persons with disabilities face at the polls, authorizing funding for the Protection and Advocacy for Voting Access program, otherwise known as PAVA. The PAVA program funds activities aimed at increasing access to polls and the ballot for voters with disabilities, ensuring that they have access to all aspects of the voting process, and awarding funding to eligible protection and advocacy systems across the country. Since HAVA's enactment, the millions of dollars in funding allocated under the PAVA program allows protection and advocacy systems across the country to conduct activities such as disability training for poll workers, to maintaining voting hotlines, and examining polling places for accessibility, and even more. There are 57 protection and advocacy systems across the 50 states, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, American Samoa, and the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands, as well as the American Indian Consortium. The P&A, affiliated with the American Indian Consortium, serves Native Americans with disabilities in the Four Corners region of New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, and Utah. P&As are federally mandated, and they protect the rights of persons with disability through legally based advocacy. Unfortunately, HAVA's definition excluded the protection and advocacy systems serving the Northern Mariana Islands and the American Indian Consortium serving the Four Corners region. I don't think we intended that, and this bill fixes that. Reintroduced this Congress by our colleague, Representative Ruben Gallego of Arizona, and our former House colleague, Senator Ray Lujan of New Mexico, S 3969 puts the PAs serving the Northern Mariana Islands and the American Indian Consortium on equal footing with all 55 other P&As. It does so without changing the program's overall authorization level or any other elements of the program. Fixing this oversight will ensure all voters with disabilities, regardless of where they live, can fully participate in the electoral process. I ask unanimous consent to include in the record a letter signed by all 57 protection and advocacy systems expressing support for the bill, as well as a letter of support from the National Disability Rights Network, a letter from the designated protection and advocacy systems in California and Illinois, all supporting this bill's package. Language making this correction has passed the House twice this Congress and other legislation, and it should be enacted into law. The Senate passed this bill by unanimous consent in March, and passing it in the House today would ensure that it would go to the President's desk to become law. I urge my colleagues to support this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.